Let's talk about multiplying fractions. The first example we will look at is 4 times 3/4. We have a whole number times a fraction. Before we are able to multiply these two numbers together, I first must turn this whole number into a fraction. To turn a whole number into a fraction, we're just going to take the number that's listed and put it over 1. I can check to make sure that this amount is the same, that these are equivalent, by taking this. This fraction reads 4 divided by 1. So let's try it to make sure it really is 4. Come over as far as we can. We can still see. Flick the 4 in the box, divide by the 1. 1 goes into 4 times. Multiply. So the value of 4 over 1 does give us the number we started with. So we'll take this now fraction and multiply it by 3/4. When I multiply across. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4. This is an improper fraction because my numerator is bigger than my denominator. 9 times out of 10, this improper fraction will not be an answer choice. To go from an improper fraction to a mixed number, we will divide. We flick the top number into the house, divide by 4. Anytime I divide, I'm going to write down my division steps. 4 goes into 12 3 times. After I divide and multiply, 4 times 3 is 12. After I multiply, I subtract. I have a remainder of 0, nothing else to bring down. So 4 times 3/4 is 3. Some might ask, why is the product smaller than one of the parts I started with? Well, if you look at 3/4, 3/4 is less than a whole amount. Since I am taking a number less than 1 and multiplying it by a whole number, my answer is not necessarily going to be bigger than one of my parts. So that was example 1. Example 2. 6/8 times 2. Before I can successfully multiply these two numbers, I must first take my whole number, turn it into a fraction by putting the whole number over 2. When I multiply straight across. 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 8 is 8. Once again, this is an improper fraction because my numerator is bigger than my denominator. To go from an improper fraction to a mixed number, I divide. I flick that top number into the house. Divide by my divide by my denominator. My divisor is my denominator. Write down my division steps. 8 goes into 12 one time. Multiply. 1 times 8 gives me 8. Subtract. I get 4. I am trying to make a mixed number with nothing else to bring down. My remainder becomes my numerator. My divisor becomes my denominator. I get my answer and I look for an answer choice. I'm like, that answer is not there, but I've done the correct steps. Well, it's probably because you have not simplified this fraction. That fraction is not in its lowest form. So I'm going to pull this number off to the side. I'm going to make it an improper fraction first. 1 times 8 is 8, plus 4 is 12. That is what I have. To simplify, we are using greatest common factor. 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . 12 . and 8. Oops, I don't want to do it like that. I'm sorry. I'm going to write it like this. The kids are used to seeing me factor like this. 1 times 12 gives me 12. 2 times 6 gives me 12. 3 times 4 gives me 12. 4 times 3 gives me 12. 5 times nothing gives me 12. 6 times 2 gives me 12. 7 times nothing gives me 12. 8 times nothing gives me 12. 9 times nothing gives me 12. 10 times nothing gives me 12. 11 times nothing gives me 12. And 12 times 1 gives me 12. 8. 1 times 8 gives me 1 times 8 gives me 8. 2 times 4 gives me 8. 3 times nothing gives me 8. 4 times 2 gives me 8. 5 times nothing gives me 8. 6 times nothing gives me 8. 7 times nothing gives me 8. And 8 times 1 gives me 8. My factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. These factors are 1, 2, 4, and 8. So I have factored. I'm finding what's, I factored, now I'm finding what's in common. 1 is in this list and that list. 2 is in this list and in that list. 4 is in this list and in that list. 6 is in neither. 12 is in neither. 8 is in, not neither, only in one. 8 is only in one of them, and 3 is only in one of them. Now that I've underlined common, I'm going to circle my greatest common factor. My biggest common factor is 4. Go back to my 12/8, divide that by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 8 divided by 4 is 2. That is still an improper fraction, so I'm going to change it again by dividing. 2 goes into 3 one time. My remainder becomes my numerator, denominator, or my divisor is my denominator. So 6/8 times 2 is 1 1/2. We'll flip it over and do one more example. Five sevenths times 6. Remember, before I can multiply these, I must first turn my whole number into a fraction. 6 over 1. Multiply across. 37. That is an improper fraction. I must change it back to a mixed number. So flick that top number into the house. Divide by the denominator. 7 goes into 34 times. 4 times 7 is 28. I subtract and get 2. My remainder becomes my numerator. My divisor becomes my denominator. So that equals 4 2/7. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.